So we talked about how the US was intervening in the affairs of other countries, right? Well, now let's get to World War One, where the US doesn't really want to intervene and get involved, right? But we'll get to that. So World War One, the Great War, millions of people die, right? Death tolls unlike any other war in history because of the technology that's available at the time. And so let's talk about how it starts and how the US gets involved. All right. So for one, I think most people know this, but World War One begins with the assassination of a guy who's known as the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Okay. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was one of the more powerful countries in Eastern Europe at this time, and Ferdinand was set to become the next king of this empire. Okay. So pretty powerful guy, right? And he gets assassinated. Why? Because there's the issue of Serbian nationalism. Without going too deep into the world history, there is a man by the name of Gavrilo Princip, who is a Serbian nationalist. Okay, there's a country called Serbia in Eastern Europe at this time, and Serbia wants to extend itself into other areas where there are large Serbian populations. Okay, that's you know, the idea of ethnic nationalism. Okay, to expand and have your country contain the areas where there's a large population of your people. Okay, so there's this movement of Serbian nationalists. Why are they upset with Austro-Hungary? Because the Austro-Hungarian Empire had recently annexed areas where there were large Serbian populations, and Serbia probably wanted to annex those areas. So there's conflict over territorial expansion. Okay, and so that's why Gavrilo Princip is going to assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And that one political act is going to lead to World War One. How does it happen? Well, for the several decades before this happens in 1914, you had the buildup of alliances. The great powers of Europe had been allying with each other, signing treaties, making alliances, just in case something pops off. Then it's time for these alliances to come into effect, where one country will get the other countries back if they go to war. Okay, so when Ferdinand is assassinated, Austro-Hungary is going to declare war eventually on Serbia, and Russia is going to get Serbia's back. Okay, and Russia is a part of a big alliance known as the Allies, eventually known as the Allies. Okay, which involves Russia, Great Britain, and France. Some pretty powerful countries there in Europe. Okay, now on the other hand, Austro-Hungary is a part of an alliance as well, right? Which involves Germany and the Ottoman Empire, ultimately. Okay, and their alliance is known as the Central Powers. So now you got these two big alliances who are about to go to war with each other, and they do, right? And Germany is going to take the lead in this war, right? Germany is going to advance and start attacking France, because France is kind of neighboring Germany. So you have Germany moving through Belgium and then moving into northern France, and is trying to take over Paris, okay? And then you have this long stalemate that follows, because the French are going to be trying to push them back, and Germany at some point is not going to be able to move forward. Okay, all right, so all this is going on. Warfare is breaking out in Europe. It's unlike any other war. You got soldiers with machine guns, right? Tanks, that was never there before. The use of poison gas, which is terrifying and horrible. You know, airplanes being used just for reconnaissance, you know what I mean? Like to see what the enemy's doing, not so much involved in fighting just yet. Submarines, which are going to be important with breaking American neutrality. So where does the U.S. stand in all this? What is the United States going to do? Are they going to go support anybody in this war? No. For years, the U.S. does not intervene. They're okay with intervening in the Western Hemisphere with Latin American countries, because, you know, that's their sphere of influence. But the U.S. does not want to get involved in European affairs. Okay, not worth it. Until you start to see a movement towards intervention, right? I mean, first, you know, about American neutrality, though, you got to understand that the public does not want to get involved in this war. All right, why are we going to send American troops over there to Europe? For what? What does this really affect the United States? Right? No, this is a European issue. Let them handle it. Right? Don't waste American lives for that. So yeah, for a long time, America is neutral, doesn't support the Allies, doesn't support the Central Powers. But eventually, public opinion is going to start to shift, right? And one of the events that contributes to that is the sinking of the Lusitania, 1915. Now, the Lusitania was a British ship, right? It was a British ship, it was a merchant ship conducting trade. But the problem was that Germany was, at that time, conducting a blockade around Great Britain, right? A blockade using submarines, okay? So the blockade, the idea behind the blockade is to destroy the economy of Britain so that they can't fight this war. So if there's no imports coming into Britain, eventually they'll be weakened and Germany can take them out. That's the idea. And so that's why German submarines sink the Lusitania. But here's the problem. On the Lusitania were some Americans, American citizens, right? 124 Americans, by the way, who died. Okay, so now America is starting to look at the war a little bit differently, right? But still neutral, right? Still not involved. But eventually, as we move into 1916, you start to see the United States preparing for war, okay? And then it gets kicked off even more in 1917 when British spies infiltrate a secret message that was sent from Germany to Mexico. And this is the Zimmermann telegram. Okay, so what's Germany saying to Mexico, right? Well, Germany is trying to push Mexico to attack the United States, right? Because Germany knows it's inevitable that the US is going to get involved, especially when Germany resumes the blockade on Great Britain and Americans can't, get there anymore. And so Germany's trying to get Mexico involved in the war, right? And how does Germany entice Mexico? By saying, hey, guess what? You know all that land you lost to the United States in the US-Mexican War? Well, guess what? You're going to get that land back. All you got to do is attack the United States and we'll get your back, okay? Mexico does not attack the United States, but now the US is aware that Germany is using these type of tactics, and eventually President Wilson is going to get Congress to declare war on Germany, and now officially the US is involved in World War I. Okay, and it's going to be some time before US forces actually, start fighting in Europe. It's not until 1918 that the US actually gets involved in combat in Europe, but now it's on.